I honestly love articles like this because everybody's so crazy about dividend investing. They think it's the greatest thing in the world, things like that. And I got to tell you, I'm not saying that it's not worth it. I'm just saying that it's probably not worth it. You got to understand. So I'm a financial advisor. I've been practicing for what, like 20, 22 years now. Dividends are not the end all to be all. This is something that was taught to us, like, or became a thing in the 80s when the market was regularly turning, 8, maybe 10% in a good year, and between 3 to 5% of that came from dividends. It's not like that anymore. Okay. You have to be very, very careful when you're looking at stocks that are just focusing on dividends. And the main thing is that a dividend doesn't make a difference to you if the stock is depreciating. Okay. And that's what a lot of dividend stocks do. They depreciate in value. You get your 2 or your 3% or something like that, but you don't get any, you get very little growth, if any at all. There's usually better options out there. You could buy a stock that gets 15% and take off 4% a year, if you wanted to, as a dividend alternative or something like that. But right now, I'm going to pick on this article because it's just got a few stocks that everybody buys because of the dividend. And for the most part, they're garbage. Again, this is my professional opinion. So we'll take the first one here, Target, because Target's got one of the worst stock records ever. So you got a 3.9% dividend right here as far as the yield goes. But look at this. If you've owned it for 10 years, you've made 48%, which some people are going to say, hey, that's 48% in 10 years. But you got to divide that by 10 years. So when you're really looking at that, it's probably closer to maybe like 4% a year. And it shows you exactly what I'm talking about. You can get these peaks and valleys. You typically get a crash. It's just not consistent enough to make it worth its while. I mean, take away the 3.79% dividend. I don't know. Give me something else like an Apple or even like a Visa or MasterCard, and I'll just clear off the dividend myself. Taking a look at some of the other ones they've got here, Arc and Consolidated Edison. Kind of the same thing. The dividend's a little bit lower. It's less than 3%. You make about 50% over 10 years. So, your total return is about 8%. I mean, if you want that, I guess, but honestly, the 10-year average on the S&P 500 right now is 14%. So you're giving up 6% just to get some dividend stock. Let's check out Kimberly-Clark. I think Kimberly-Clark is pretty bad. Yeah, so this is what I typically see. So you've got a great dividend yield here, 5.33%, but you've lost money over the last 10 years. Not quite as much as 5.3% a year, but you're down 30%. So yeah, while you're getting this 5% dividend, your principal's tanking. It's not holding its own. And you've got very, you could say, with things like, let's check out Altria. This isn't too bad, but obviously you got a huge divot here over the last 10 years. You've been getting 6.45% the entire time, but you're flat over 10 years. So all you've made is, 6.45%. Again, you could buy a stock that's got more growth potential, that you don't have to go through all this. Dividends are not the solution to everything. I would much rather take a lower dividend paying stock that has the growth associated with it, because that's going to outpace inflation. That's going to make me more money. And even if you were to take a stock and get like a 3 or 4% dividend on it, you have to put in so much money into that one particular stock for it to have any kind of meaning to you. Okay. I mean, if you get a 3% dividend, you got to put $100,000 in to get $3,000 a year. Okay. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I guess higher quality dividend stocks is, you can go to the list of dividend aristocrats right here and just start going through this list. Really just start going through this list. Walmart's not a bad one, but you can see the yield isn't all that great. But Walmart gives you the growth that you're really, really wanting and looking for. You take a look at Walmart. I'd rather have a stock that's up 454% rather than flat or up 50% over 10 years. Yeah, the dividend sucks. I don't really care. I'll pull out 4 or 5% a year or something like that when it's earning me this kind of return. And this is a perfect example of how a lower dividend yield can actually benefit you in the future. And again, I'm not saying don't buy dividend stocks. I'm just saying don't look at just the yield and be like, oh man, this is so fantastic. Verizon is a great one as an example. It's just a trash stock that you just need to avoid because this happens. Sure, you're getting 5.73% on the dividend, but you made no money on the stock for over 10 years. You've got these huge dips that last for what, 2 years here. Then you maybe get a comeback. It's coming back up a little bit. It's just not worth it. But start off with this list here. And you got to remember that this compounded 5-year average, that's including the dividend. So when you see these negative numbers like Leggett and Platt, you're just losing money. It doesn't matter about the dividend. Farmers, same thing. Okay, over 5 years, you've only made 2% here, negative here, a 1.22, but you're up 3.6 on the average. No, you need to be hitting double digits. It just doesn't make any sense to not be that way. Let's check out a few other ones. Pepsi, I guess. Lowe's. I mean, you get the point. You can go through this list on dividend.com and see that, hey, typically when you get these higher yields, your overall growth in the stock is really negligible. And the point I want to drive home is it's not that you shouldn't buy these, just don't buy them too early. Wait till you're in retirement. Go for growth. When you're 30s, 40s, 20s, definitely, even into your 50s, because even when you hit 60, you're going to live for another 30 years. Okay. You don't really need to buy dividend stocks anytime before that, or at least not have it be the focus. If you want some stability, that's fine. But keep in mind, your stability may be costing your growth. And in the case of a lot of these, you're going to have negative growth. Okay. Your principal isn't going to grow. You're just going to collect that dividend. Dividends investing is just one of the things that I just think is like an old timey rule that people were taught back in the day that just doesn't really apply to us anymore. And again, I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm just saying, hey, look at the history. Canadian Utilities, decent dividend at almost 4%, no growth on the stock. Might as well open an online savings account. Then you wouldn't even have the risk of the stock. And it just goes on and on and on. Whether you're looking at the dividend aristocrats or the dividend kings, these companies that have never lowered their dividend, have never missed a dividend. Hey, that's great for their financials, but it doesn't mean that their stock is a good investment. It just means they have a great history of paying dividends.